going to wait.
Liana is nice to meet you.
Now we're being recorded.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Near and far. So good to see all your beautiful faces and all your beautiful faces. And what a privilege that I get to be here with you. Usually I'm either coming or going somewhere when I come through Taos, and so this time I paused for just a little bit. Some of you might not really know me. I am the Reverend Liana Rowe. I am ordained in the United Church of Christ. I retired a few years ago from the Southwest Conference office, and I live part-time in Phoenix and part-time in Salida, Colorado, and I just love being part of this community. So thank you for welcoming me. I'm just going to tag on to what Eileen said about the translation, and I think the copyright that you talked about in 21 was the first issue of just Luke and Acts, and this full Christian Testament version was released in 23. So it's even hotter off the press than that. And as we enter our time of worship and ceremony, I will share with you some of the background behind the terms that are used in the First Nations version of the Christian Testament. We find a few of the names of who we typically understand to be God, to be Great Spirit, Creator, Great Mystery, Maker of Life, Giver of Breath, One above us all, Most Holy One. And names like those have been chosen by the collaborators on the Translation Council to, as Eileen said, honor the simplicity and the beauty of Native understanding of the great Creator. And Creator sets free is used to talk about Jesus. First Nations traditions, like biblical Jewish traditions, give names that have meaning and context, and thus the translation of Jesus' name is agreed by the collaborators to be Creator sets free. And there's just some really lovely more material in this book, and I would just encourage, like if you're a Bible addict like I am, anyway. At the same time, I feel it's really important to acknowledge that some progressive practices, particularly progressive Christian traditions, are faulted with co-opting native cultural traditions. And we hope that our intent is pure and guided by the Spirit out of deep respect for the people whose land we're on. So please let us center ourselves and be open to Spirit among us. Join me in prayer translated by Lakota Sioux Chief Yellow Lark. O great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty. Make my eyes ever hold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you have made, and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so that I may understand the things you have taught my people. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. Help me remain calm and strong in the face of all that comes towards me. Help me find compassion without empathy overwhelming me. I seek strength. not to be greater than my sacred family, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes, so when life fades as the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. Amen. Aho, may it be so.
So now is the time for us to light candles and bring our prayers to the altar. And while we do that, we're going to sing the prayer of peace, which is, I believe, number 36. And it's a Navajo prayer of peace. So I'm going to light my candle. And turn this just a little bit. Okay. Our first reading today, Rinda is going to bring to us. It's a reading from Ephesians from this First Nations version.
First Nations is what the Canadians call themselves. We're American Indians. I'm a registered member of the Cherokee Nation. I grew up in the culture in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I grew up a Methodist. Cherokees have been Methodists and Baptists since the early 1800s, before the Trail of Tears. My people were Methodists and animists. We use none of these terms because there was no such thing as a creator. There was only the earth It was called Turtle Island, and it just appeared. When the Cherokees they were among the first people that met Europeans, they realized immediately that going to war was of no value, that they could not defeat the guns. There was no reason to have guns in North America. It was extremely abundant land with a small population. And so they immediately adopted elements of the European culture, including education, and they recognized that education was extremely valuable. I'm a fifth generation college educated person from my Cherokee side. My father's white. Most American Indians, which is the legal term, it's in the Constitution, and that's how Congress and the Supreme Court refer to us. Native American was invented by the government because they thought that Indians didn't have a name of their own, but in fact we did. Just like you don't say that French and Germans are from the same country. Navajos and Cherokees were not the same people. They didn't share a language. They didn't share customs. This Bible is probably Canadian and comes from a different kind of culture. This reading is from Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 21. This is the reason I bow down on my knees and humble myself before the Father above, from whom all families, clans, and tribes in this world and in the spirit world above are named. My prayer for you is that from the great treasures of his beauty, Creator will gift you with the Spirit's mighty power and strengthen you in your inner being. In this way, the chosen one will make his home in your heart. I pray that as you trust him, your roots will go deep in the soil of his great love, and that from these roots you will draw the strength and courage needed to walk this sacred path together with all his holy people. This path of love is higher than the stars, deeper than the great waters, wider than the sky. Yes, this love comes from and reaches to all directions. I pray that you would feel how deep the chosen one's great love is. It is a love that goes beyond our small and weak ways of thinking. This love fills us with the Great Spirit, the one who fills all things. I am praying to the Maker of life, who, by his great power working in us, can do far more than what we ask for, more than our small minds can imagine. May his sacred family and the chosen one bring honor to him across all generations, to the legal time beyond the end of all days. Aho, may it be so. The word of the Lord.
Good morning, everyone. I have the privilege of reading a beautiful piece by a lady named Michelle Morris. It's called Strawberry Moon. Behold our strawberry moon. She is big and bold and bright, reminding us to be the same, to bring our energy into alignment, for we are not mere passengers, souls stuck in mortal shells. We are here to create magic, like the stars in the universe dwell. Wrap your cloak of magic around you. Inhabit your senses and wild ways. Know that you are made to explore your creative expression of God's grace. We are not meant to live in one place. Our souls are here to learn and love and grow. For we embody so much light and hope, more than the moon could ever glow. So look up at that strawberry moon. Feel strong and happy and free. Follow your desire to travel to the unknown, through this world and beyond life's mysteries.
Just gonna spotlight you. Okay.
Thank you for sharing some background, Brenda. That was really special. There's a lot of material that I thought I didn't really want to take like a whole ton of our time today to dig into. It is a collaboration among the council is 12 members, and they are from broad and varied traditions. The coordinator of the council, Terry Wildman, is Yakian Ojibwe and lives in Maricopa, Arizona. And even though the council was 12 people, they took input from as many, I think he says over 250 tribes across the entire continent. I would invite you to center yourselves, and I offer or invoke a spirit. May all I say and all I think be in harmony with the Father within me, Father beyond me, maker of all that is. So I want to talk about walking the good road, and I didn't realize when that title for this time together today came to me that it actually was the title of the book that was released that had Luke and Acts in it. And so when I went back and doing all of my prep, I realized I co-opted the title quite unintentionally, but it's kind of how we tend to do things, so I have to apologize for that. I alluded to my addiction to Bibles, and I have so many different translations, some even into foreign languages, some of which I can read, kind of, not very well, and this one brings such a smile to my face. It is called The Jesus Book, and it was gifted to me by a friend recently who lives in Hawaii. And what it is the Christian Testament translated from Hawaiian Pidgin. And very similar and parallel to the approach that was taken for our First Nations version. There's an explanation of how they arrived at the translation, and this one is actually much older. This was published in 2000, and over 17 million copies have been sold. Plenty times, one part of the Bible talk about the same thing, just like one not a part. Okay, I'm not going to torture you with any more of my very bad rendering of Pidgin. And now we have this translation of the Christian Testament, and I'm really looking forward to this project moving forward because they have moved on and started working on books from the Hebrew Testament. And the first books that I think they're planning to release are Proverbs and Psalms. And I just find that to be such a rich place to start. It would be so contrary to our training in seminary about how you would approach such things. But I honor absolutely what the process is. And Eileen said to you earlier, the original intent of this translation was to provide a culturally accessible Bible to Indigenous communities. And the ancillary or second intent was to broaden cultural understanding among more English speakers. So the hope for effect is to capture the beauty and simplicity of the native heart languages in English. I'll come back to that in a little bit. Unfortunately, the Christian churches have a long history of colonizing Indigenous people, forcing them to behave according to the rules of the dominant culture, forcing them to adopt the more civilized doctrinal teachings. I suppose some of you are familiar with the atrocities of the Indian boarding schools. For many natives raised in these teachings, there is a painful process of deconstruction to return to native understandings of that which is greater than all of us. Our own beloved United Church of Christ is one of the many mainline denominations that actively participated in the horrors of colonialism. We love to brag about having ordained the first woman in the 1800s. We also need to acknowledge and own that one of our antecedent denominations, then known as the Hawaii Evangelical Association, supported and actively participated in the illegal overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani in 1893. One path that mainline denominations today are embracing as a way to be more on the right side of history on this issue is to adopt a repudiation of the doctrine of discovery. And Pastor Terry Wildman, the coordinator of the Translation Council, says that's nice, but it's clearly not enough. Reconciliation and redress has to be an active engagement of the perpetrators with the injured and the oppressed, and I'll offer an example of that. As we in the UCC have become more culturally aware and more culturally sensitive over the centuries, it came to pass in 1991 that our denomination recognized not only the need for formal apology, but two, the need for redress. In 1993, the formal apology was shared, and soon after, a task force working with Hawaii churches assembled to discern an appropriate means of redress. And I won't want to get into the weeds of what the outcome of that was. There's a lot of resources on the Hawaii Conference website if you want to look more into that. But I will share an example of my personal experience of our United Church of Christ living our faith into the redress. Some years ago, private prisons were contracted to house incarcerated Indigenous peoples from many places, Hawaii and Alaska among them. The practice in those prisons is to use chaplains from very conservative denominations to proselytize the inmates and further to deny the rights to their own Indigenous spiritual practices. At the time, Hawaii inmates were all housed in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Conference of the UCC, together with our national board, sued in court for the inmates' rights, First Amendment rights to their Indigenous spiritual practices, and won. So CCA was forced by the court to allow traditional foods and ceremonies according to their First Amendment rights. And as is the practice with private prisons, the inmates get moved around frequently. It keeps the families from being able to support their loved ones, thus keeping the recidivism rate quite high. CCA moved the Hawaii inmates to Arizona. There was a more moderate warden at that prison at the time. He complied with the order of the court. The inmates had opportunities for traditional foods, ceremonies, music, and most importantly, Indigenous reconciliation practices. And I was part of a team of Southwest Conference clergy who were supporting these inmates with visitations, participating in ceremony with them, and supporting family members. We had a pool of funds where we could buy their airplane tickets and house them and transport them, because the prison that they were housed in is so remote from any of our major metropolitan areas. And having all of this support, the Hawaiians had the lowest recidivism rate in the entire CCA system. So of course, the company hired a new warden, took that prison back to the old ways, proselytizing while confiscating their ceremonial regalia, musical instruments. They had family members send them kukui nut necklaces that their grandparents had made, and their traditional instruments. So you can see how simply repudiating a doctrine is a good step, but so incredibly inadequate to the actual process of decolonization of ourselves, our scriptures, our churches, our society. Pastor Wildman tells a story of serving a Hopi congregation in northern Arizona. Early in his time there, he found a storage room full of Bibles written in the Hopi language. He further discovered these Bibles were hidden in the storage room because there was no one on the reservation who could read the Hopi language. How absolutely devastating. For the Translation Council, they have expressed that the First Nations translation is a way of decolonizing the scriptures for themselves, their own internalized colonialism, first for their own communities and also for we, the colonizers. So I'm mindful that I get to this part, and my homiletics professor would be very angry with me for not even addressing the text yet. So, but I think having said all that I just did, the text really speaks for itself. So I would like to offer, do I have the right, I'm sorry.
Chapter 3.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with what I have because I don't want to mess it up any further than I already did. In the chosen one, there are no longer insiders or outsiders, or those who ceremonially cut the flesh and those who do not. We no longer see ourselves or others as uncivilized ruffians, slaves or free. There is only the chosen one. All are in him, and he is in all. The Great Spirit has chosen you to be his holy and deeply loved children. So put on the new regalia that he has provided for you. Put on deep feeling for the pain of others, kindness, humbleness of heart, gentleness of spirit, and be patient with one another. If there are any complaints against each other, then carry that burden basket and learn to forgive, for we must forgive others in the same manner that our honored chief has freely forgiven us. And then I did really love that Strawberry Moon poem. We're like 2 months past the Strawberry Moon.
We are.
And now we're just past a buck moon. But the essence of what was in that poem just spoke to me about walking the good road. For we are not mere passengers, souls stuck in mortal shells. We are here to create magic, like the stars in the universe dwell. Wrap your cloak of magic around you. Inhabit your senses in wild ways. Know that you are made to explore your creative expression of God's grace. We are not meant to live in one place. Our souls are here to learn and love and grow, for we embody so much light and hope. more than the moon could ever glow. And so Native communities define walking the good road as a determined act of living within the Creator's instructions. Basically, it is a life of truth, humility, harmony, respect, friendship, and spirituality. Pastor Wildman suggests that the gospel stories about Creator set free's teachings lay out for us such a path. The Gospels teach love of one another, of creation, of the great mystery. And there's actually a reference in the Hawaii Pidgin translation at the end of Revelation that talks about the good way. The one that tell all this stuff say, yeah, I coming back real soon. Yeah, boss, come back real soon, Jesus. I like all you guys know the good way our boss Jesus make to you. That's it. May we embrace the teachings that would guide us on our good roads, our good ways. So at this time, we traditionally enter a 2-minute meditation, and we'll take our 2 minutes, and Eileen will bring us out with some music.